Alright, hey guys, it's Unit 3 day today. It's the first video. We've got about 10 or 11 videos in total. The videos are going to be divided up in this way. The first ones are going to be about social structure in a general way. Then we're going to break it into the two components of social structure, interaction order and social institutions. But today we're going to just introduce the idea of social structure. We've got our stupid drawing back up here. You can see here's you or me. It looks like we're running into the machine today. This side is culture. It's comprised of the symbolic universe, which explains reality to us, and the collective consciousness, which kind of orients us and tells us how we're supposed to live our lives. And as we talked about last time, or in the last unit, this side of the machine, generally speaking, is responsible for our thoughts. So today what we need to do is get at what is going to influence our behaviors. And the short answer to that is the other side of the machine, social structure. I haven't filled in these two quadrants yet because we're going to talk about it in more of a general way. But this is going to be the interaction order and social institutions. And when we've got that, you've got the entire machine built. It'll be kind of disturbing because basically what we will have done is turned you as a raw material completely into predictable thoughts and behaviors. But for right now, what we're going to do is talk about, we basically have 2 points in this video. We're going to talk about what the social structure does, and we're going to talk about what it's comprised of. Simple as that. All right, and the framing question that I'm going to use for today is basically, have you noticed, and of course you have because it's a stupid framing question, that all of your teachers basically do the same thing. If you're a non-traditional student, you haven't been in a classroom, just hearken back to the olden days. If you're a traditional student and you have been in the classroom recently, think about the fact that despite the idiosyncratic differences between me and your other teachers, I basically do the exact same thing as them. When I teach this in a classroom, I will have my 30 bored students looking at me, and I will say to them, now think about the fact that what is happening in this classroom can be multiplied across the entire university. Basically the exact same thing happening. Some middle-aged-ish person standing up, boring a bunch of relatively younger people. My behavior in this is completely predictable if you know that I'm a teacher. You know I'm a teacher, you know exactly what I'm going to do. Conversely, I know you're a student, I know exactly what you're going to do. And that's because of the social structure. All right. So what we need to talk about is what it does. First of all, just very simply, it, generally speaking, determines behavior. So point number one, the social structure determines behavior. Point number two is what it's comprised of, which is going to tell us how this happens. So I've got two terms for you besides social structure that we're going to learn right now. Status and norm. Now, status is and I'm going to pause you just for a moment to just let you know this is so much simpler than culture. The social structure and how it creates behavior is going to be mildly disturbing at one point when I tell you that basically your behaviors are all predictable even when you're hanging out with your friends. But it's simple. It's easy stuff to understand. Okay, so back to this. Status, very simply defined as a position in the social structure. Position in the social structure, that just about is in the video. Position in the social structure. Professor is a position in the social structure. Student is a position in the social structure. Father is a position that I am sometimes in. Cashier, customer at a grocery store. All of these positions in the social structure are what we're talking about when we talk about statuses. Norms is the other term, and norms are going to be very simply defined as, and I'm gonna, because of my camera angle and stuff, I'm gonna let it roll. We're gonna abbreviate social structure as SS right now. Social structure. Norms are expected behaviors. Norms are expected behaviors, and I don't have room to write this, but I'm going to just tell it to you. Expected behaviors connected to a particular status. So, for example, when I am in the status of professor, I have expected behaviors or norms that I'm supposed to act out. I'm supposed to give lectures. I'm supposed to when I'm in a classroom, call on students, ask them if they have any questions. I'm supposed to write exams. So these are all expected behaviors. Now, here's the mildly interesting thing about this. I don't do those things just all the time. I do them only when I am in the status of college professor. When I am not doing that, when I'm driving my car, I am not at that moment in the status of professor. So I'm not giving lectures. I'm not writing exams. I'm not calling on people to say things. All I'm doing is exactly what you're doing. I'm in the status of driver, and I am driving on the right side of the road, more or less obeying the traffic laws, and that's it. My behavior, and this is crucial, not difficult, but crucial, my behavior is determined by the status that I'm in. And the status is, let me adjust this back up, my status is determined by where I am in the social structure. Okay, statuses and norms. So I step into the status of college professor, I have expected behaviors or norms, and generally speaking, that's why I do the exact same things as every other one of your professors. You act the exact same way as everybody else in this class. You watch my videos, even if you don't want to. You post to discussion boards, you write reflections, you take exams. None of it is anything you want to do, but you do all of it. Why? Because you have stepped into that particular status at that particular time. Now, here is the thing that is mildly depressing about this. I would argue to you that almost all of the time in your day, if you were to look at yourself from when you wake up to when you go to sleep, almost all of your behavior, almost everything you do is predicted by where you are in the social structure. So I wake up and I'm in my house and I am in the status of father. And so I do the things I have to do. My behavior, I don't want to do that. I want to play guitar. But what I do is do my kids' laundry, help them prepare their food. I do, all kinds of like dad stuff. I drive them around when I am in that status. But like obviously right now I'm not doing laundry. I'm not preparing food because I'm not in that status right now. But I wake up, I'm in the status of dad. Get in the car and I jump out of the status of dad if I'm driving to work, and all of a sudden I am in the status of driver, and there are expected behaviors for me there. So I drive and I follow the rules. I get to work and I step into the status of college professor. Now I'm not doing driver things and I'm not doing dad things, I'm doing professor things. Preparing lectures, delivering lectures, all that stuff. So and then I get out, I get back in the car, I'd been driver for a while, and then I go to the grocery store, and I am a shopper at that point. And you can see that throughout the course of my day, I am in different places in the social structure, and my behavior completely depends on that. Even when it's an informal situation like walking across campus. You do this, this works better in a classroom, but I'm going to do it for you right now. So you're walking up to me, you're walking this way, I'm walking that way, and what do? It's completely patterned because we are both in the status of person walking across campus, and that behavior is completely predictable. This is what you do. You walk, you see a person, you see them a certain distance away, you can look at them for a moment, but then you got to drop your eyes. So you walk toward them and you pretend they're not there. Then you get about this close, you go, hey, what's up? And then you drop your eyes and keep on walking. It's completely predicted. It's not individual. It's based on where we are in the social structure. That's appropriate behavior at that place in the social structure. Last point about the social structure in this introduction is that it can be depicted as like an organizational flowchart. Now, I've not done this, so we're gonna take a walk over to where I have drawn an organizational flowchart for you. And what you see here is Just a very mediocre, there's our drawing. Let me get my big head out of the way. And what you see is a whole bunch of statuses. So over on one side, you see professor, student, custodian. Those are statuses that would exist at a university. And what you've got there is the lines connecting them are the norms. So the professor acts a certain way toward the student. Students act a certain way toward the professor. They both act toward the custodian in particular ways. And you could multiply that out by, you know, you can multiply that out by department heads and department secretaries and coaches at the university or whatever. Then you can move to a different part of the social structure where you see you're at the grocery store and you see manager and cashier and shopper, and the lines connecting them again. This is kind of a stupid drawing, but that's sort of my specialty. I hope I'm not making you sick by pivoting you around the way I am. Manager, cashier, shopper, and the lines are the norms. Then you move over farther and you're in the part of the social structure called driving, and there's a cop. Cops act in particular ways toward drivers. Drivers act in particular ways toward cops. Drivers act in a particular way toward pedestrians. And then over here, and this is the part that is kind of the most disturbing, I think, and we're going to get here in a little bit, is here's me and here's my friends. My friend Jason, my friend Kelly, my friend Heath, my friend Sarah. And the argument that I'm going to bring you back over here now, the argument that I'm going to make to you is that even in those informal situations, my behavior is completely predicted by my position in the social structure, my status. So when I'm with my friends, I'm not like in the status of friend exactly, but remember how we talked about individuals hold meaning. My friends they define me in a certain way and they expect certain things of me. And if I am going to stay friends with them, I'm going to have to act in relatively predictable ways. I could be predictably weird. I could be predictably funny. I could be predictably spontaneous, but I've got to be predictable. Otherwise, and you know this, you start acting in a way that your friends are not familiar with, they get annoyed with you. All right. That idea of a whole bunch of boxes with lines connecting them is the main idea of the social structure. Now take that flowchart and put it right here. Imagine every possible position in a society and all of them connected with these norms. We act toward each other based on the norms, based on our expected behaviors. I will act toward you as a student and you will act toward me as a professor. It doesn't have anything to do with the individuals. I know that you are a different individual than all the other people watching. It doesn't matter. My behavior toward you is based on the norms that connect our two boxes, me and professor, you and student. All right, social structure. The thing I want you to be impressed by is the vastness of it. The fact that when we think about our society, we can think about all these different positions and everybody's behavior being predictable based on which particular status they're in at a particular time. And I also want you to just think about, don't be too depressed about, but think about the fact that your behavior, you as a unique individual who believes in freedom, your behavior is pretty much scripted for you from the time you wake up until the time you go to bed, whether it's based on more formal positions like being a student or the expectations of your friends and family based on how they define you. But our behaviors are largely scripted for us. Don't freak out about it, but kind of let it be something you consider. Remember, Karl Marx said, we make our own history, but we don't make it just any way we want. It's out of the circumstances that we're given. The social structure is the behavioral circumstances that we're given. All right, that's it for this time. I will come back next time and we will talk, I believe, a little bit more specifically about statuses. I'll see you then.